Why don't you read for a change?
How are the giant 900 and 1,100 pound slabs measured by humans to weigh that much if no piece of equipment can lift them?
Well, the weight is of course estimated because nobody actually took those colossal stone blocks and put them on some scale. But if you know what stone they are made of, which is easy to verify, and you measure the size, the cube, and multiply the cube by weight, you get the total weight. There's no dispute about these weights. Nobody says, no, it weighs not 1,100, but whatever.
In Revelations, it says that Armageddon is a place, not an occurrence. Please explain what place and where and why is Armageddon today thought of as an ending instead of a place?
Well, Armageddon is a place coming from the Hebrew Har Megiddo, the Mount of Megiddo, which is just a promontory near Haifa, and the site of many wars in antiquities, because it's very strategic. And where I just said, just east of Haifa. Why is Armageddon today thought of as an ending? Because I assume so. The notion is that this is where the final conflict would take place. The prophet Ezekiel referred it as the final war of Gog and Magog. The Dead Sea Scrolls speak of the final war between the powers of light and the powers of darkness. So it's become a concept rather than only a place.
If it is true that the Mars pyramids are built right by the Mars equator, is that a coincidence that Phobos flies by just by them?
Well, the questions come from books by others, not by me. So I'm not qualified to answer that. Somebody from State of Grace. Is there such a country?
Not that I've heard of.
What is the basis for the theory of suspending gold in the atmosphere of Nibiru? Well, this is based on what happened on Nibiru and the explanation that I reached why they came here and how they mined the gold and how they needed workers for the gold mines and created us. So this whole thing is an integral part of the tale. So if you understand how it started, what the problem was, what they did here, what they achieved, where they failed, etc., this is the basis for the theory, as you call it.
In the span of 3,600 years since they were last here, isn't it possible that life on their planet could have seriously deteriorated such that even when their planet returns, no one will come from it?
Well, it's possible, but this raises the question of how to explain what's going on the smallnet Phobos. Well, it says here, do you feel that the unrest in the Middle East today has anything to do or related to the return of Nibiru. Now I spoke yesterday, I spoke today, and I'm saying that the expected return is not of Nibiru, it's of the Anunnaki. So, next opportunity, Marty has, rephrase your question, and I'll answer it.
Are some of us Anunnaki from the past? I feel like I have memory of being an Anunnaki.
Well, this goes to the, it's a very valid question, not to be sneezed at. And this goes to the issue of demigods. And in chapter 6 of Genesis, which was what started me on the subject, there's that the sons of the gods, plural, of Elohim, plural, married the daughters of men and had children by them. So Gilgamesh, for example, who thought that he is entitled to become immortal, which means living the same longevity as the Anunnaki, was described as 2/3, not just half, not a demigod, but as 2/3 divine, let's use the term, because in that case his mother, not his father, but his mother was a goddess. Now Gilgamesh had a son. It's mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh and other texts. Those demigods born to this intermarriage described in the Bible between the sons of the Elohim and the daughters of men had also offspring. So do some of us carry to some extent their genes? Of course, because that's how they brought us about to begin with, through genetic engineering, mixing some of their genes with those of hominids, Homo erectus or whatever, then through intermarriage. And if the questioner says that he or she feel like she has a memory of being an Anunnaki, maybe. Why not?
The stone tablets stolen from the basement at the museum in Baghdad. Do you know anything about them, and if they talked about Nibiru?
Well, not only tablets, but actual sculptures, which are more admired than the tablets, were stolen. Many were returned, many were found, and are back in the museum. There's a whole debate now whether to reopen the museum to the public or not, whether any of those particular tablets deal with Nibiru. I don't know. Can more detailed questions be submitted to your P.O. Box? Yes. It's P.O. Box 577, New York, New York, 10185. It's on my website. I answer all my mail. What's the question?
Why did the Anunnaki betwixt the humans' language and separate the humans' tribe to different corners of the earth?
Well, this matter of confusing the languages and dispersing mankind, which is in the Bible, appears in the Sumerian tablets too. I didn't come across any valid reason. There was some concern among the gods, especially by Enlil, that if mankind continues to be united by a language, it's not good for them, for the Anunnaki. There's no clear answer. I don't know. Now read the question.
What is so special about Arizona?
I don't know. Nice place. Well, there's a book about some theory by some writer called Neil Adams, which I'm not qualified to answer. Do the Anunnaki still communicate with us in dreams? I think so.
Could you comment on the current advancement of technology and if there is a relationship to the Anunnaki and or so-called technocrats? Specifically, will or do the Anunnaki bring advanced technology to Earth when they visit?
Bring what to Earth?
Advanced technology.
I really don't know. But I think the concern is will they come to destroy us? Never mind advanced technology. Did Enki leave an emergency preparedness plan or instructions to survive Nibiru's crossing? Well, before Enki left, and I wouldn't expand on the living aspect. Before he left, he, with the blessing of Enlil, did choose someone to keep their legacy while they are gone and until they return. And that's enough for the moment.
A multiple part question. Why are you and your books and your amazing and indispensable research not required study in all major universities today? And
the answer is not up to me, but why don't you, each one of you, write to their local university and ask the question? I get letters from fans that enclose some clipping from their local newspaper or some magazine and say, this item, this discovery, this thing is exactly what you said in your book, this and this. And I write them back and say, it's nice to know that, but why don't you tell it in a letter to the editor of the newspaper? Why do you tell me that I'm right? Tell it to the newspaper and its readers, and I encourage you to do that. Let's read this.
The new picture of Phobos with the blue area, doesn't it look like a picture of Enki? Some like that, the Nazca lines in Peru. I see a face.
No. I don't know. I didn't see a face. But it's definitely metallic. How did you learn to read or decipher the clay tablets. I devoted a lifetime to it. So there are some, by now there are courses. When I started, Sumerian was not a major or recognized separate subject. And I took some courses at various universities. I taught myself. I pored over books, I pored over tablets. There are various manuals. I think some of them are now on the internet. I think if somebody wants to do it, it's easier than when I started. Why did they leave Earth? Are they still here? Well, we keep asking the same questions. I think somebody said here, read the Lost Book of Enki, read the End of Days. Why are they keeping information from us, or the government? Well, we discussed that. Where does Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, Yeshua is Hebrew for Jesus, fits into the return of the Anunnaki? I deal with that in the End of Days. Which ancient languages do you recommend to study for more understanding? I would recommend to start with Hebrew. Something about the Vedic text. I did not talk about it today. Again, something I did not talk about. I heard, anonymous, I heard there are space stations on the dark side of the moon. Do you think there is? Well, there's no question of thinking. I mean, are there or aren't there? I don't know. Could there be? The answer is yes. Are there? I don't know. Would you describe what the Anunnaki individuals looked like? Well, first of all, my books are filled with their images, so it's easy to see how they looked. But if sometimes the question is phrased differently and says, I'm asked, do they look like us? And I say, no, we look like them. Yes? There's the question.
I think she's talking about the Pisces.
Well, it's one or two more because we are past our deadline. What inspired you to dedicate your life to this? Well, it's a long story. I asked the question as a schoolboy, but one more. Just any one more. The same?
No, it just doesn't pertain to the show.
That's a question about another book.
Yeah.
It's two persons. Well, somebody says here, as I recall, your evidence indicates the last crossing around 400 BC. Do you therefore anticipate the next crossing around 1200 years from now? And there's some calculation here, where if the last was not 400 but 565 BC, then well, the orbit got shorter. I also deal with that in the end of days. The orbit is now maybe 50 years, not 3600. So you deduct this from that, is what, around 2900. Well, if you live like Methuselah, you'll make it. Well, thank you all.